We will now be joined on stage by officers of the OCSEA ODOT Assembly, President Chris Mabe, for the presentation of the Humanitarian Awards. Willa?
I'm afraid to touch these, but I need to. Part of the mission of the OCSEA ODOT Assembly is to recognize the outstanding work of ODOT employees, as well as improve attitudes and perceptions about the value of public services. The extraordinary feats of some of our ODOT employees certainly exemplify this mission. The OCSEA ODOT Assembly, its officers and delegates, proudly recognize and commend the following employees who, during the course of a workday, faced a challenge and chose actions that were beneficial to others. The first recognition goes to Ron Hibbard of ODOT District 8. Ron, who works in District 8's construction division, spends a lot of time on the road as he travels to various construction projects. In his travels last November, Ron saw a hit-skip driver hit a school bus, which Ron later found out was filled with disabled children who were on a field trip. Luckily, none were injured in the accident. When Ron saw that the driver was not going to stop, he decided that he needed to get involved. Staying at a safe distance, but keeping the vehicle in his sight, Ron contacted 911, who alerted police, who were able to apprehend the driver. Ron never let the vehicle or its driver out of his sight until the police arrived. Unfortunately, Ron was not able to be with us today, but if someone from District 8 will see me after the ceremony, then I'll be glad to give you his certificate. Our second recognition goes to Robin Loreno, a realty specialist from ODOT District 6. During a field review, Robin and her coworkers witnessed an accident between a motorcyclist and the driver of a van. While all employees helped in various ways, Robin rendered assistance to the 70-year-old injured motorcyclist by elevating his fractured leg with coats borrowed from her coworkers. She stayed with him for about 20 minutes before emergency crews arrived at the scene in the rural part of the county. Robin wanted to share her recognition with her coworkers who were on the scene that day. When notified that she would be recognized, Robin wrote, "I am very honored by this award. I hope that the remaining people who were on site that day are also being honored. It was amazing to me to see how just everyone seemed to do what needed to be done during that terrible accident. Some provided personal clothing for heat and support. Others directed traffic to keep the area safe. Someone else called 911. The quick and automatic reactions by everyone involved really impressed me that day. With the cooperation by everyone, no one else was injured, and the man injured in the accident was able to make it to the hospital in a timely manner. So hats off to Robin and to her coworkers. Thank you. Mark Manful, a TM in the Carroll County Garage, was out in the early morning hours of May 8, 2010, assessing the damage that had been done during a storm that had just passed through the area, leaving trees and branches down and creeks swollen. As he made his way back to the garage at about 2:30 a.m., he saw a little boy who was walking along the white line on the side of the road, barefoot and wearing pajamas. Mark stopped and asked the little boy where he was going. He told Mark that he was going to church. The little boy was unable to tell him where he lived or what his mother's name was. Manful called the sheriff's office for help. The deputy put the youngster in the cruiser and went door to door in an apartment complex near the garage until the mother was found. She explained that her 5-year-old son was autistic, and even though she had safety features in the home to keep him safe, he was able to get past the gate and outside while his mother slept. The grateful mother said that Mark had saved her son's life and visited the ODOT garage to thank him personally. Dean Mischie, a District 3 highway technician from Ashland County, also encountered the child wandering along alone a state route highway early one morning. Dean would not have been on that route except for a call to the garage that there was debris in the middle of State Route 96. Heading in that direction, Dean encountered a little 4-year-old boy walking along the road, crying, cold, and hungry. Dean pulled over to check on the little boy. He called his county timekeeper and asked her to call the sheriff's office to inform them of the situation. In the meantime, Dean put the little boy into his truck and shared his lunch with him. The sheriff arrived to take the little boy to try to locate his family. Dean never found out any more about the child's parents or where they were located, but his coworkers feel that he was the child's guardian angel, put in the right place at the right time to save a little boy from what could have been a bad situation. And finally, Dan May, a highway technician from District 6's Morrow County, was plowing snow along State Route 61, a 2-lane road at about 2 a.m., or 8 o'clock a.m., excuse me, when he came upon a head-on accident. Dan stopped along with one other driver who happened to be an emergency room doctor. Noticing fire was shooting from under the truck's hood, Dan got his fire extinguisher and put out the fire. Next, he helped the doctor remove the victim who was pinned in the truck between the steering wheel and the door. Dan kept the man warm until medics arrived. When the injured man was taken to the hospital, Dan simply got back in his truck and continued on the route plowing snow. A humble man, Dan did not brag to coworkers about being a hero. In fact, no one that he worked with was aware of his actions that morning until several months later when the injured man turned up at the Morrow County garage to thank him for his help that morning, which the man credited with helping to save his life. Severely injured with 8 broken ribs, a collapsed lung, a broken leg, head injuries, and a blood clot, the man was in a coma for 2 weeks and hospitalized for a month. It was only at this time that Dan's coworkers became aware of what had happened on that cold, snowy morning. The OCSEA ODOT Assembly salutes each of these employees for going above and beyond what is expected of them on the job. Your actions exemplify the best of public service. We are proud of our public servants. We are proud of the work you do. Thanks to each of you.
Thank you, Willa. I'd like to bring to the stage Ms. Sonia Simpson, Deputy Director of Operations, for the presentation of the Director's Cup Rodeo Awards.